It is better to be alone than in bad company. If freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led, like sheep to the slaughter. My mother was the most beautiful woman I ever saw. All I am, I owe to my mother. I attribute my success in life to the moral, intellectual and physical education I received from her. It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one. Human happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. 99% of failures come from people who make excuses. I hope I shall possess firmness and virtue enough to maintain what I consider the most enviable of all titles, the character of an honest man. Guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism. Labor to keep alive in your breast that little spark of celestial fire called conscience. Perseverance and spirit have done wonders in all ages. Associate yourself with men of good quality, if you esteem your own reputation, for 'tis better to be alone than in bad company. Let us, therefore, animate and encourage each other, and show the whole world that a freeman, contending for liberty on his own ground, is superior to any slavish mercenary. A sensible woman can never be happy with a fool. Happiness depends more upon the internal frame of a person's own mind, than on the externals in the world. Experience teaches us that it is much easier to prevent an enemy from posting themselves, than it is to dislodge them after they have got possession. Few men have virtue to withstand the highest bidder. The turning points of lives are not the great moments. The real crises are often concealed in occurrences, so trivial in appearance that they pass unobserved. The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph. Worry is the interest paid by those who borrow trouble. If we desire to avoid insult, we must be able to repel it. If we desire to secure peace, one of the most powerful instruments of our rising prosperity, it must be known that we are at all times ready for war. To encourage literature and the arts is a duty which every good citizen owes to his country. I conceive a knowledge of books as the basis upon which other knowledge is to be built. Paper money has had the effect in your state that it will ever have, to ruin commerce, oppress the honest, and open the door to every species of fraud and injustice. Where are our men of abilities? Why do they not come forth to save their country? We must consult our means rather than our wishes. Real men despise battle, but will never run from it. Be courteous to all, but intimate with few, and let those be well tried before you give them your confidence. To persevere in one's duty, and be silent is the best answer to calumny. Discipline is the soul of an army. It makes small numbers formidable, procures success to the weak, and esteem to all. Let your heart feel for the afflictions and distress of everyone. We should not look back unless it is to derive useful lessons from past errors, and for the purpose of profiting by dearly bought experience. There is nothing so likely to produce peace as to be well prepared to meet the enemy. Be not glad at the misfortune of another, though he may be your enemy. The great rule of conduct for us, in regard to foreign nations, is, in extending our commercial relations, to have with them as little political connection as possible. Promote, then, as an object of primary importance, institutions for the general diffusion of knowledge. In proportion as the structure of a government gives force to public opinion, it is essential that public opinion should be enlightened. No punishment, in my opinion, is too great for the man who can build his greatness upon his country's ruin. I hold the maxim no less applicable to public than to private affairs, that honesty is always the best policy. If to please the people, we offer what we ourselves disapprove, how can we afterwards defend our work? Let us raise a standard, to which the wise and honest can repair. The rest is in the hands of God. Nothing is more essential than that permanent, inveterate antipathies against particular nations, and passionate attachments for others, should be excluded, and that, in place of them, just and amicable feelings towards all should be cultivated. It is substantially true that virtue or morality is a necessary spring of popular government. The rule, indeed, extends with more or less force to every species of free government. Religious controversies are always productive of more acrimony and irreconcilable hatreds than those which spring from any other cause. I had hoped that liberal and enlightened thought would have reconciled the Christians so that their religious fights would not endanger the peace of society. Strive not with your superiors in argument, but always submit your judgment to others with modesty. It is absolutely necessary for me to have persons that can think for me, as well as execute orders. No people can be bound to acknowledge the invisible hand, which conducts the affairs of men more than the people of the United States. Every step by which they have advanced to the character of an independent nation, seems to have been distinguished by some token of providential agency. Death, the abyss from where no traveler is permitted to return. A bad war is fought with a good mind. Decision-making, like coffee, needs a cooling process. I'll die on my feet before I'll live on my knees. Individuals entering into society must give up a share of liberty to preserve the rest. A slender acquaintance with the world must convince every man that actions, not words, are the true criterion of the attachment of friends. The basis of our political systems is the right of the people to make, and to alter their constitutions of government. One of the expedients of party to acquire influence, within particular districts, is to misrepresent the opinions and aims of other districts. Unhappy it is, though, to reflect that a brother's sword has been sheathed in a brother's breast, and that the once happy plains of America are either to be drenched with blood or inhabited by slaves. Sad alternative. But can a virtuous man hesitate in his choice? Some day, following the example of the United States of America, there will be a United States of Europe. They came with a Bible and their religion stole our land, crushed our spirit. And now tell us we should be thankful to the Lord for being saved. Chief Pontiac, American Indian chieftain. The alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge, natural to party dissension, which in different ages and countries has perpetrated the most horrid enormities, is itself a frightful despotism. But this leads at length to a more formal and permanent despotism. No pecuniary consideration is more urgent than the regular redemption and discharge of the public debt. On none can delay be more injurious, or an economy of time more valuable. Arbitrary power is most easily established on the ruins of liberty, abused to licentiousness. Wherein you reprove another be unblameable yourself, for example, is more prevalent than precepts. Liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth.